Welcome to Faith Positive Radio with Dr. Joey Fawcett, the Christian business coaching conversation that increases your faith with greater joy at work so you love God and others more. Dr. Joey interviews Christian business professionals just like you to discover their secrets for working faith positive in a negative world. Welcome to Faith Positive Radio with Dr. Joey Fawcett.
Faith Positive Nation, you know how you're doing your work, you're engaged every day in your business, and then all of a sudden God gives you this opportunity, like say going to Haiti on a mission immersion experience, where you're going to think about somebody beside yourself, going to relieve suffering and pain, and you come back, you finally decide to go because you hem and haw, can't take off time from work, but then you come back, right? And you're totally changed. You do business differently, you do life differently, you do parenting, marriage differently. Our guest today has had that very kind of experience, and she's here to share her story with us. So Faith Positive Nation, help me welcome Amanda Uggla. Amanda is a realtor in the Franklin and Nashville, should I say it like that? Nashville, Tennessee. I don't know if I can say it like that much, but the Nashville, Tennessee area. She's married, has 3 amazing children, and then happens to be married to the guy who's my nephew. Okay, by marriage. Now, I don't admit that about him very publicly very often. I'm much more comfortable saying that Amanda is my niece than I am saying Mike is my nephew. But anyway, Faith Positive Nation, help me welcome Amanda Uggla to Faith Positive Radio. Amanda, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, we're so delighted to have you here. So your work as a realtor, you're a mom to 3, you're married, Mike owns his own business. How in the world do you make it every single day?
Some days are easier than others. It's all about time management, and some days are overwhelming, and as they are for anybody. But it helps that I have 2 kids in school. The youngest one's in a daycare atmosphere, but just to be able to manage your time wisely, that's the only way to get through and try not to get overwhelmed.
Yeah, besides that, being Wonder Woman, right? That's always helpful.
Right. It definitely helps to get a good night's rest and start all over the next day.
I gotcha. So how long have you been a realtor there in the Nashville, Franklin area?
About 2 years.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So you're building a business.
Yes.
How's that going for you?
I've been very blessed. I cannot complain. Feel like with Mike being from this area, and I've lived here a good while myself. I moved here in 2001, and we lived in Chicago for a couple of years in between there, but been here a long time, know a lot of people. Feel like we're fairly active in our community, and so it helps to know a lot of people. It helps to, I feel like when people trust you, they will use your services, and just know that you'll go to battle for them and that you're honest about your work, and it just helps and pays off in the end. So I've been very busy and very blessed for 2 years doing that.
You just named a bunch of core values, which I know emerge out of your faith, right? Honesty, trustworthy, things like that. How does your faith influence the way that you do business?
Well, it certainly, there are opportunities for anyone, especially a realtor, and to bend the truth to try to gain financially, or just to make somebody feel like they are more pressured to make a decision that's going to help us gain financially. It's really easy to find yourself in that position to push them one way or the other, to be more on the salesy side and make them feel like they have to make a decision quicker. But I'm not like that. I know that in time, that with my faith and with my work ethic, that it'll all pay out. Because there's a lot of times in real estate that it doesn't pay out. You do a lot of searching, looking, and then nothing is ever a good fit. And that's just the way it is, probably 7 out of 9 times. So sometimes the payout isn't great at first in real estate. You just have to keep pressing on. And just like selling my home now, there's a lot of homes for sale in this area. The real estate market's really good. If they've done some rezoning with schools, and a lot of the veterans in this area have just kind of decided that this isn't a good fit for them anymore, and I feel the pressure to sell because there's a lot of competition. And I have no control over that. We just have to wait it out and sometimes dig deep for that faith and know that it's going to work out.
Yeah. Well, that's something that I think a lot of us in Faith Positive Nation struggle with, and that is giving up control to God.
Yes.
Now, I know you went to Haiti and you went on a mission trip. You weren't sure about going, right? But you went on a mission trip. How did that mission trip help you give up control to God?
Well, because you put yourself in it is rather scary to put yourself that far away from home in a country that is so different than anything that I've ever seen or anything that I've, ever been around. And to know that your life here is completely different and you feel safe all the time. It's just you make yourself more vulnerable, and you have to rely on your faith to get you through that time, and just to know that God is with you and that you're there for a reason. I didn't necessarily want to go. I just knew I needed to go, especially the second time.
Oh, so you've been a couple of times. So tell me that.
I've been twice.
Okay, tell me that difference, because you didn't necessarily want to go, but you knew you needed to go. How did you know you needed to go?
It was always God speaking to me, and I think for 10 years I wasn't smart enough to realize that's what it was. I knew that there was something about, and it was always Haiti.
Really?
There were other opportunities to go some other places, but I never acted on any of them. But however, anytime I would think about going to serve somewhere, Haiti was always at the top of my list for some reason. And then the earthquake in 2011, I believe. I could be wrong about that year. Sorry. I believe that's when it was. That the devastating earthquake in Haiti, I knew then that, I needed to do something. So it was less than a year later when I finally got to go. And I also had the opportunity to go with somebody that I trust and love. And so that was helpful. Somebody that, a good Christian. She's actually the godmother to my son, to Keaton. So, yeah. So that helped.
So what I hear you saying, Amanda, is that you learned to trust God with providing. And so God had spoken to you for this 10-year period. And so what helped you get smarter about listening to God was that you could really trust God.
Yes.
That's a challenge.
It certainly is a challenge. I always knew I had it in me too, that God speaks to us in different ways. And,
rather than trying to shorten the sales cycle. I didn't mention that specifically, but that's what you said earlier. So,
well, and, this is the biggest purchase these people are going to make. And so when it comes down to numbers, it's definitely easy, especially on the selling side, to get greedy and, what more, maybe even more than what, the property's worth. You're always going to start high. But I always encourage everybody, we're not going to take advantage of anybody here, but we're going to start where, the cops say we can start, and just say, we're not going to try to be offensive. And if we're on the buying side, I'm also putting myself out there, making sure that they're not getting taken advantage of, and that we all start on an even keel. And you're going to pay for what the property is worth. Of course, most of this is always contingent on the appraisal saying it's worth that much, and they're always going to have an out. I would never recommend my clients sign up for something that they're going to be stuck with. And it just there's a lot. They look to you for advice for so many things. And I feel that because I am trustworthy, I'm going to tell them. And I'm also usually able to say if I've made a mistake somewhere, if we got held up somewhere in the process, if I made a mistake, I'm usually good about sorry, owning up to it. Because there's a lot of moving parts in real estate. Yeah. And some of it's out of our control, some of it isn't. It's just and every transaction is different. But just to be able to trust your provider and the person representing you is, I feel, enormous.
Because you really are a trusted advisor at this point.
Yeah.
To either the seller or the buyer, saying, okay, this is probably as good an offer as we're going to get if you're representing the seller.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're always their voice of reason. And so pretty much because you're the expert in that field, they need your advice. And
they do.
You can be misleading.
Yeah. So after you came back from Haiti, you were a different trusted advisor than you were before.
Absolutely.
So if we were interviewing 3 or 4 of your clients, what would they describe about you that you would say, yeah, that was a change?
Well, because I didn't sell real estate before I went to Haiti, but
Okay.
if I had, I'll just
Mm-hmm.
kind of go back from what I did before that, which
Sure.
I did, kind of a number of different things. I just felt like it was always easier for me to soften the truth or bend the truth a little bit. If it were something that would just make my life easier to not have to do that, to own up to something a mistake that I made, or
Mm.
I would always kind of just try to dodge the bullet. And now I feel like my clients will be like, yeah, she's good about owning up to, if she makes a mistake, or she would be good to be like, hey, if I say I'm going to make a call, I'm definitely going to make the call. If I say I'm going to,
Sure.
ask about this, I'm always going to ask about that. I feel like they would be able to attest to that. That I'm making those calls, not just saying I'm making them. So.
Right. So there's consistency between your walk and talk there, and your faith really is the glue that holds your walk and talk together. So there's integrity, there's honesty.
Sure.
And
I don't want something to come back and make me look bad, even though sometimes it does, and that's okay. It's not going to be a good fit for everybody.
Right.
That's why there's a lot of us to choose from.
Yeah, you're not the only realtor in Nashville and Franklin, right?
Certainly not. No.
Yeah, I've got you. Okay, so you go to Haiti, you go twice. Actually, it impacts your life as a realtor. Well, you decide to become a realtor.
Yes.
As a part of that.
Yes. Yeah, I just had, I was always interested in it, and Mike actually used to sell it for just a short stint, and he thought that I would also be, so he kind of encouraged me to go ahead and get my license. And there is some flexibility there with the children, and we have busy seasons and we have off seasons.
Yeah, so, really. Ball season's always busy season, right?
Right. So, but yeah, it's changed me completely, for sure.
So what did you do? So often when we go on a mission immersion experience like that, and it takes us so far outside, as I like to say, outside of our 9 dots,
Woo, yeah.
Yeah, that you said you're less materialistic and things like that now. You're concerned about integrity and honesty and kind of values that we as Christian business professionals want to engage in our daily practice. Your walk and talk is consistent. What do you do to keep that that mindset, that relationship with Christ close to you each and every day? And the reason I'm asking that question, just a bit of background, is because I've seen so many people, and you have too, all the Faith Positive Nation has, you have an experience like that, you go off, it changes you, but then the change wanes.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do to sustain the closeness of your relationship with Christ that actually took a quantum leap forward there in Haiti?
Well, just that it's constantly developing still. I still have a long way to go, but that I did make such a big leap, that several years ago through that process, that just every day, I'm faced with some form of temptation, of course, or some form of, especially in real estate, where you can be deceiving. And I'm usually really good about reverting back to the way I felt, how relieved I was that God showed me the way to go to Haiti. And I'm so grateful for that calling, because I feel like I use that every day, and I still have a long way to go. Still constantly trying to take steps in the right direction, allowing him to guide me, even when it's hard, because I get overwhelmed like everybody else. I'm not super knowledgeable of the Bible. I need to do more research and do more of that.
Just spend more time in the Word, right?
Right. I definitely need to do that. Just even like going through Bible verses and trying to pick my favorite for one of your questions.
Right.
It's very obvious that I have a lot of favorites, but most of those are just the ones that you hear constantly. And I was like, I don't really want to be a cliche. I could do better. And so I went back over and did some reading, and I do enjoy it. So I need to make it a priority. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, one of the things that not only myself, but other persons that I've interviewed talk about is that very thing, that need to spend more time in the Word. And even those of us who spend time in it every day, like every morning, I may not be the sharpest guy in the world, so I have to read the Bible every day.
yeah,
I have to re-up every morning, okay,
yeah,
God, I got enough scripture for yesterday. Now I need some for today. So
yeah.
maybe if I was brighter, I'd be able to carry it over from yesterday. But I think it's a lot like manna. You have to have enough for the day. But
I
we,
can't remember anything, so I need it every day. So
yeah, yeah. Oh, I understand. But it's almost, I want to say a positive addiction
sure.
in that the more you read the Word, the closer you get in your relationship to Christ. And so the more of it you want, right?
Yeah, yeah. You're hungry for it, and you realize that, man, I don't know if it's just because I feel like, man, I don't know anything, or I need to step it up, or if it's that I'm like, man, I really, really enjoy this. So I think it's
Mm.
a little bit of both. So
Yeah, well, it's definitely need driven because we need all the Jesus we can get, right?
absolutely,
E-
absolutely.
Each and every
So
day, especially in a
yes,
competitive playing field like yours. Real estate
yes,
in the Nashville market is really a hot market right now uh, here in
certainly is. Yeah,
2017. So there's,
yeah.
like you said, a lot of realtors. So, I mean, how do you keep yourself focused on Christ and keep that attitude positive in such a competitive market?
Just to know that if it's supposed to work out in this field, it will.
Okay.
It's really easy to feel like, oh, I need to make more calls and I need to do this, but that's just not my personality. Like
Mm,
I like to work with people that I know. I'm also fine with working with people that I don't know because I feel like people are comfortable with me. With
hmm.
my company in particular, they do a lot of lead generation, which, they kind of go out and find leads for us. And
Sure.
even if my conversion rates aren't the best, I feel like people are usually comfortable with me no matter what. And I feel like that's a good feeling when these people might not know a single person in Tennessee. They're moving from another state or, whatever, or they're sending their husband or their wife here. And so I want people to feel confident that I'm not, first of all, scary, that I'm trustworthy, and that I am looking out for the best interest.
Mm.
It's not an easy field. It's stressful. It's very competitive, and you can do deceiving things in order to get ahead. But I feel like in due time, being patient and not being pushy and looking out for my best interests will pay off. So
Yeah. So once again, that servant leadership focus, right? You're really
right,
focusing
yeah,
on
it's
the
not
on the client.
easy. It's not easy because
No,
just
it's
other
not.
people doing so well with it, um, it can be kind of discouraging. I'm not doing enough, or maybe these people are doing something. A lot of them are just the experience they have, and most of these are referrals that they've used or people that they've used before or whatnot.
Well, Amanda, in addition to being a realtor in the Nashville, Franklin, Tennessee area, and mother to 3 kids and married to Mike, you also in 2013 had something happen for you that was really distinctive, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Good
Yeah.
year for me. Yes.
Yeah, that was a good year for you.
Yeah.
So, what's it like to be Mrs. Tennessee?
Yeah, so 2013, I was Mrs. Tennessee, United States. And with that year brought so many wonderful opportunities to be able to showcase not only the hard work that I was putting in, to be able to challenge my body and my mind as an adult mother, wife, whatever. It was just a good opportunity for me to get myself out there, get outside my comfort zone. I really was looking for that challenge again, to be able
Mm,
to step on the stage and to be a leader, even though people would say I was past my years or past my prime or whatever. That I heard a lot of feedback, not always positive feedback, about my desire to compete at an older age. But for me, it was so fun. I was able to meet and work with special needs kids, and I did a lot of appearances all over the state. I worked with underprivileged children. I did just a bunch of things. It's hard to even remember. It's only been 4 years, but I'm like, oh, there was so much packed into that 1 year. But most of all, it was just to be a face and have a voice. If people wanted me to come and do something and say something, that people actually listened, and it was kind of nice.
Yeah, well, what I hear you describing again, which seems to be a constant theme with you, is you were serving. You really
Yes,
have a heart for service, don't you? How,
I do.
what kind of, you mentioned underprivileged kids, special needs kids, and things like that. And of course, Scripture just tells us to look after the widows and the orphans. And
Right,
Jesus spent so much
right,
of his time with people that were basically forgotten people by
right.
society. So I hear you following in his footsteps. Well, so what opportunities do you mentioned special needs kids and underprivileged kids. What kind of other opportunities did you have to be salt and light?
Um, well, I can honestly say even before I went to Haiti, I was also competing, trying to win that title. And I would get close, but never would win. And I didn't understand why. I was working just hard. I felt like I was as deserving. But
Mm,
I know now that I needed to go to Haiti twice because I competed in between. After the first year, I thought that I knew who I was, and I was, standing up there and speaking strongly for myself and from the heart. It always was from the
mm,
heart. But
mm,
it was that second time when I had to rely so much on my faith to go back because I knew it wasn't going to be easy. I
mm,
knew I was going to miss my kids. I was going to put myself
mm,
at risk. But it was after that that I came back and was like, wow, that was a whole next level of trust and faith. And I can do anything. Like, I'm not going to let anything stop me now because of
wow.
that journey of him opening my eyes and doing this to be able to give back to others. And I knew that we only have a short time here. So it's
Mm.
time to get out there, put yourself out there and stop being scared.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Scripture tells, of course, that God's love casts out all fear. It vanquishes the fear.
Yes.
So the closer you drew to Christ in your own walk, the more fearless you became.
Yes, absolutely. And it's still, again, a work in progress. It's hard for me still to, and
Really.
I know that it's like that with everybody, but I would like to be able to cast away all the fears and just try to lead for him.
Mm, mm. How did
But
it
for
affect, of course, we talk a lot about business. How did it affect you as a mom, this trip to Haiti and coming back and realizing
yeah.
we're put here to serve one another in the name of Jesus?
Well, both of my kids, or I only had 2 kids at the time, but it was really hard to come back and see starving children there, to come home to 2 healthy, well-fed children that have way more than what they need.
Yeah.
I think that the main thing was just to be able to continue to insert the word of God into them and continue to show them what kind of a serving heart is like,
Mm.
and to not have them swim against the current like I did forever.
Ah.
Just to
Mm.
not know that it's better to give than to receive. And even though they do have more than what they need, they get antsy if things don't go their way. And we still work on that all the time. But I do feel like they know God and that they love him. And
Mm.
I feel like after that trip, I just came back and was like, you know what? Nothing else matters. It doesn't matter if you play in the big leagues, or it doesn't matter if you're a model or whatever. We're going to be good servant people. And
Mm.
that's what God calls us to do.
So rather than letting society determine what success is like for your
Yes,
children, you
yes,
decided to let God determine that and to
yes.
speak that into them each and every day.
Still a work in progress.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We live in a negative, broken world, right? So,
Certain. Yes.
yeah. So our messaging is just really different. Man, that's amazing. Amanda Uggla is a realtor in the Franklin, Nashville, Tennessee area. She's a mom. She's been to Haiti a couple of times, which really were defining moments for her. She's a servant leader in her community as a realtor, and she's mom to 3 amazing kids, and of course married to Mike too. Amanda, Faith Positive Nation always wants to know from our guest about a favorite Bible verse. And you mentioned a moment ago that you didn't want to be cliche, that you dug deep. So what'd you come up with?
Well, since a lot of this is stemming from my experience in Haiti, this is one that when I was reading back through and trying to decide which one stuck out to me, this one stuck out to me the most, which is Deuteronomy 31:6. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you.
Wow. Now, why is that your favorite, Amanda?
Just because that is exactly the feelings I had. I was scared to go. I was scared to not be in control, but he never left me. He never forsook me. It was where I was supposed to be when I was supposed to be there.
And just cast out all your fear.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
That's great. What an amazing story. Well, thank you so much, Amanda Uggla, for the gift of your time today and for sharing your story with Faith Positive Nation. We just really pray God's blessings on you, Mike, those amazing 3 children, upon your business as a realtor as well. We just pray that God will prosper all the work of your hands. And we know that there are lots of people moving into the Nashville, Franklin area who will benefit from having you having their best interest at heart. So thanks for being Christ in that market and as a realtor.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Uncle Joey.
Thanks for listening to Faith Positive Radio, the Christian business coaching conversation that increases your faith with greater joy at work so you love God and others more. Suggest guests and ask questions when you email Dr. Joey at info@getpositive.today. And be sure to get your free gift of the 5 positive business conversations to have today coaching program at getpositive.today. Until next time, may God bless you with everything your heart can hope for and more than your mind can imagine.